What up with it, y'all? It's Coffee on the Bid, and ooh, we are the Drake stands mad right now. And I don't know about the Cardi fans. Do they got a name like how uh, Nicki has the Barbs? Did the Cardi fan base have a name again? I forget, man. Fill me in. I feel like they do, and I'm just tripping, bugging, and it's slipping my mind at the moment. But we know Drake took the L to Kendrick in a major way, in a crazy way. Like, he just got bodied on a whole nother level, man. You know what I mean? And it was just like, yo, you're not like Kendrick. You're not like a real top tier MC lyricist. You're a bubblegum pop artist, glorified rapper, and that's really it at the end of the day. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Like, I say that really truly meaning that I personally, and maybe comment if you second this, everyone out there, hip-hop fans, let me know if you feel this way as well, where you flock with all different kinds of genres of music. You know what I mean? And there's songs that are just hit songs, they're pop songs. It's cool. You know what I mean? It's like, that's okay, that's who Drake is, that's his identity as a rapper. Let's not forget about the ghostwriting and all that is. You're just not Kendrick Lamar. And that's the thing in this beef that has had Drake run, cry to attorneys, file lawsuits. He settled with iHeart, but the UMG thing, I think, is still going. Or did it get dealt with anonymously where it can't get put out? I can't recall, but to me it was just so suckerish of Drake to take an L in a rap beef and just basically whine and cry like a bitch at the end of the day. Whine and cry to the judge, go file paperwork, man. It's just kind of like some snitchery. And again, I ain't no gangster saying like, F snitches and all this stuff or whatever, but I'm just pointing everything out for what it is and what it will be and what it always has been. And that's just what it is with Drake. Like, Drake's dope, but he's just not Kendrick Lamar. And, off the momentum of everything with the beef, and isn't it so crazy too that all started from other diss tracks with like J. Cole being involved, Rick Ross being involved, all these other different MCs, and then it morphed into just Kendrick versus Drake, and just Drake taking these L's so hard body karate that he's still having a temper tantrum. That's crazy that his crib got shot up though, man. Like, that's fucked up. But Drake trying to recover from it, and his stands are out here trying to throw the cape on and the cap on and be a superhero for him and tell him all the lies and sweet nothings in his ear, pause that he wants to hear and make him feel all better. But it just can never be. You know what I mean? Like, you took an L on such a crazy level. But back to what I was saying, off the momentum of Kendrick taking that to the Super Bowl and everything else, him and SZA went out on this tour and they released all this music. And when it comes to the charts, not something I reference all the time, right? Because the charts, like we were talking about bubblegum pop artists and all that, you got sales and streams, which is, bottom line, music is a business. It's also an art form and people's passion. But charts is something people like the Drake stans want to point at a lot or whatever. But we're just pointing out some big success here that Drake and SZA have had with this track Luther, which has Cardi B shut out in 2 categories. Now, the Luther track has been on the charts for 31 weeks as a whole, right? And 27 weeks at number 1 on the hot rap charts, and then the rap and R&B charts. Like the Cardi B song Outside is number 2 in those respective categories in which we're speaking of. It is at number 1 in some other charts, but Kendrick and SZA has number 1 locked in for 27 weeks, which is record setting in those 2 categories in which we speak of. And that's dope, that's lit, and that's just showing the momentum, that Kendrick got, and getting them Grammys as well. Like, I don't know about y'all, I was real type worried that they were gonna give him the shaft pause with the whole Macklemore heist 2.0, like they were gonna heist him again, it was going to be a Heist 2.0, but that didn't happen. He cleaned up like a motherfucker at the Grammys, and he's cleaning up on them charts in a major way right now.
Well, this leads me to the perfect thing, because I would like you to clear something up. There's a lot of talk going on with Chris Brown being at your place in Miami, and you arranging Chris and Rihanna getting back together. Now, you want to talk about that?
See, I wouldn't use my Twitter to talk about that, because that's somebody else's business.
I know, but you gave them your house.
Yeah. But we're talking about Twitter.
Yeah.
How you use Twitter, and that's something else. I'm just saying I wouldn't really Twitter about that.
Okay, let's not Twitter about it. Let's talk about it.
Okay. Sure.
Let's talk about it, because I think you clearly have a lot of people going, why would you do that? Why would you give Chris, a guy who hit a girl, and he's jet skiing around in your... I don't understand, because, I mean, listen, I was a huge fan of Chris's. I love his music. He's a talented guy, but to hit a girl... Yeah,
because I know both of them, and it's my house. And I'm allowed to give my house to whoever I want to give my house to.
Sure.
That's number one. Number two is that I'm the type of person that I don't cast a stone or cast a judgment on anybody. And so if a friend or friends ask me for a favor, then I'm gonna be there for a favor, as long as I know that the energy of the favor is positive for two people to sit down and talk about a situation at their end. I'm not gonna get involved in it. I'm not gonna pass judgment on it. If I could be there as a friend during hard times, then I'm gonna be there as a friend.
Right.
But I don't know the exact particulars. I didn't get into it. I'm not gonna do this or do that. It's a dark time for them, and I was there more as a support. That was it.
I think you were coming from a place of a friendship and of kindness and support. And it's hard for me, and I don't believe in judgment either, but I don't want any girl out there thinking it's okay to go back to a guy who hit her. I don't want any girl.
I don't think.
And I don't mean to put you in this.
No, but you are putting me in it. So I'm gonna speak on it. I don't think that it's right for anybody to hit anybody at the end of the day, and I don't think it's right. I think that we all have to be honest with ourselves as adults, and people that have been in relationships. We know sometimes those relationships get ugly, and sometimes it doesn't come out into the forefront the way this one has come out. And it's a lot of stones being thrown, and we don't know exactly what's going on. These are two young individuals. We need to pray for them, and we need to give certain support, but you don't need to start just saying that you know something that you don't know. You wasn't in that car. I wasn't in that car, and it isn't right for him to put his hands on her or her to put his hands on him. And we don't know what the problem is, but we need to pray for them, and we need to do things to support them. And that's all I want to say about it.
I agree.
Thank you.
I want to support you. Here's how I'm going to help you now. We take a break and do it afterwards?
Can we dance?
Yes.
I would like to dance.
Dance. Do it.
Now, how about that old clip, man? The tension, you could cut it with a knife right there, the way Ellen and Diddy squared off, speaking about Diddy. This is obviously some time back, how he lent his crib to Chris Brown and Rihanna and was trying to mediate the relationship and get them back together. And you heard what Brother Love was saying. Love/relationships can be crazy as hell. We weren't all there. We didn't know what happened. Dude shouldn't be putting his hands on old girl, and she shouldn't be doing it to him, and at the end of the day, no one really knows. Like, it was an uncomfortable moment for Diddy. You could tell. That's why at the end he said, yo, let's just end this thing with a dance off. Let's dance. Let's have some fun. But Ellen was really pressing him hard about all this. You know what I'm saying? Comment what you thought about that interview and all that. But the reason that this is being reshared in the news cycle right now, is being highlighted in the media, is because obviously we know for the most part with the trial, it was a W for Diddy. That he wasn't convicted of those RICO statutes and running an evil empire criminal enterprise of X trafficking. They were like, nah, but he did engage in prostitution with on two different counts, which he's convicted, which we've seen WAC 100 throw up the federal sentencing guidelines, and we know WAC, he just revealed he's got a badge. He's very up on how those sentencing guidelines and the charts work and all that, and side conversation. I want to share a link with y'all that I would like you guys to go tap into and join the discussion over there, as well as subscribe to that channel where we talk about hip hop, crime stories, sports, among many, many other topics. And it's about the Mann Act, which is actually what Diddy is charged under. And it's real wild. A lot of the lingo and language used in the federal statute and law, where they reference white slavery, which is a term used to, speak on women being forced into prostitution. But there's the law was put into effect in 1910, and the lingo and language, apologies y'all, is very open-ended in it, where it's been interpreted in very many different ways in which that you would think it wasn't initially meant to be used. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was meant to protect women from being forced into prostitution. But there's this story about this boxer, Jack Johnson, the Galveston Giant, the first black heavyweight champion. And there's a story. The link's going to be in the comments. Please go check it out. Subscribe. It's a real wild story. It's deep, and it's a fluffed up story about how this law was used to prosecute successful black men for interracial relationships with white women. Like we said, this was put into effect in 1910 and 1912. They came for the boxer Jack Johnson. And it's a wild story, you know what I mean? Just going over the law itself, but also the story of Jack, his own personal story, and how, just like other boxers, when they had situations that were very controversial, not in the same fashion like Muhammad Ali when he got drafted, that he wasn't just like, hey, I'm gonna go out like the status quo, right? He's like, I'm a warrior, I'm a boxer, I'm a fighter. I fight for real physically, and I fight in other ways. And he just didn't go out like your average individual. This story, you really got to go tap into it, and I really want to hear from everyone on it. As always, if you're new to this channel, it's always about hearing from y'all, the people. That's the whole idea of Coffee Talking It Up with y'all. But getting back to what we're talking about with Diddy, as he awaits sentencing, in this video reemerging in the blogosphere, reemerging in the media, and that situation with Chris Brown and Rihanna and him trying to get them back together, and the comments that he made with Ellen there, and then obviously the video that came out from him and Cassie, which still blows my mind how that was held under wraps all those years and came out right at that exact opportune time. Like, tell me that ain't a trip. But the reason why all this is being discussed is because 2 days from today, July 8th, he has a court hearing where they are asking to expedite the sentencing process. Now, like we said, technically he could get 10 years on both counts consecutively, ran wild, and get 20 years. But most legal analysts are saying that ain't gonna happen. They're saying stop the capping. That ain't gonna happen. He's gonna get far less. That he might get time served or have to do like another 8 months and come home to the halfway house. That was Whack 100's professional take. You know what I'm saying? Someone coming out of the legal landscape, the law enforcement world. He has firsthand knowledge of all this. But why they're speaking of all this is something that they're looking at in court and speaking about is just the true character of Diddy, right? That they're saying, yeah, he was convicted of engaging in prostitution and crossing state lines in these 2 instances. But, what is his character truly at heart? And the prosecutors are running with this whole narrative that Bad Boy Records was modeled specifically after Death Row. And obviously we know a lot of the ish Death Row is involved in gang banging, all kinds of shit, all kinds of strong arm tactics, and how Suge Knight was a bully and bullied the rap game until individuals bullied him and knocked him out, and then it was a field day on him to the point he ends up getting knocked out numerous times, to that one horrible day where he got his ass whooped on a straight out of Compton movie set and ran off, fearing for his life, flailing, arms flailing, crying, and ran over 2 people. And it's crazy, not to get too off topic, but with that case, if Suge Knight's attorneys didn't get caught up and hit with all these cases, Suge might have in some ways had a fighting chance in court, you know what I mean? Because one of the victims was going on record saying that he was the aggressor and whooped Suge Knight's ass, you know what I mean? So Suge was trying to like say, hey, I was fleeing for my life. Like it was on this guy for him beating me up that all this happened, you know what I mean? But that's all in the books. That's all over with. Back to what we're speaking of. They're saying Bad Boy was modeled after Death Row. This is, you know, the court narratives, the prosecutors, and even the media now is diving into it and, you know, going over this all with the microscope. And I need to hear from y'all on it. And they're saying that like Bad Boy just in itself is a term like meant to like, you know, not like, oh, yo, he's a bad boy, like he's a fly individual or whatever the origins of the name was in a swaggerish way or what, however it was meant. They're saying it's just flat out like we're bad, you know what I mean? And Death Row, and you know what I'm saying? Like they're just doing these kind of media narrative tactic games, you know? So on my side, I wanted to talk with y'all and see what you guys think about it all. As again, Diddy will be in court on July 8th to expedite the sentencing process. He's trying to have it happen as soon as possible. Y'all see the illustrations when they read that verdict. He dropped to his knees praying, and now he's praying that when sentencing comes around, he gets hit on the lighter side of things. So jump in the comments, share your thoughts about, you know, the SZA, Drake, Cardi, SZA, K-Dot, Cardi, Drake-ish, and then the Diddy sentencing and, you know, that clip with Ellen and just everything that is entailed in that conversation. And also, don't forget to go tap in to that video about the Mann Act in which Diddy was indeed convicted of. Subscribe to the channel, sub to that other one where that link's at, and I look forward to hearing from y'all in the comments. It's Coffee, and I'm about this bitch, y'all. Peace.